Welcome back to Secrets Behind the Stars, the space where the glossy facade fades and the heartbeat of fame gets loud enough to hear. Tonight, we're taking you to the lip of the Bosphorus, to a strip of Istanbul night where the calm broke and a carefully maintained image cracked in public view. We're talking about Alp Navruz. But not the Alp you think you know, the composed leading man, the perfect cover star. This was a different presence altogether, a figure stepping into the light with words that felt closer to confession than to press banter. Before we step into that glare, a reminder: if you crave stories told without varnish, subscribe now. And if you believe in the work that keeps us chasing these stories until dawn, hit join. Your support is how our cameras keep rolling. Now walk with me down that glittering shoreline where the script flipped. The city was humming in syncopation, that Istanbul rhythm that somehow contains both a lullaby and a drumline. The waves tapped the stones softly while the street lamps turned the strait into a tiled mirror, diamonds scattered by a restless hand. It was the kind of cinematic backdrop publicists dream of, but no PR deck could have prepared the crowd for what actually unfolded. Reporters arrived ready for the usual, polite smiles, half answers, and a no-comment shield around anything tender. Instead, the rulebook simply vanished. What happened next divided the room and the internet. Some called it brave, others called it reckless, and everyone agreed it was unforgettable. The promenade lights felt like interrogators, white-hot and unwavering. In that center circle of brightness stood Alp Navruz. For months he'd been mostly absent from the chatter, letting new scripts and a grueling routine do the talking. Even his social posts had the restraint of a man who prefers outcomes to explanations. Last night, the silence didn't end with a statement drafted in notes and emailed to press. It ended with him, a pulse, a voice, the kind of controlled tremor that announces a storm. He emerged with a new visual language and a tone that didn't belong to media training. It belonged to a man alone with his thoughts for too long. A car as black as a kept secret slid to the curb. The engine exhaled into quiet. Doors whispered open. And then there he was, stepping onto the pavement like a character crossing the line between scene and reality. Gone was the pastel idol packaging the industry sells to keep everyone comfortable. Alp had edges now, sharper where the lights caught him, softened where something pained flickered across his face. His entire bearing suggested a decision had already been made long before the cameras were switched on. Leather, unbuttoned ease, hair freed from symmetry. He didn't look like he came to make peace with expectations. He looked like someone who had decided to be read rather than approved. The look told its own story, but the tremor didn't start there. It started with the sentences. For years he's been the consummate expert at sidestepping intimacy in interviews, lifting a polite wall when questions tiptoed toward his heart. Not last night. No gatekeepers, no evasive phrasing, no safe harbor. He spoke plainly. He let the air fill with meanings that usually get edited out. Journalists leaned forward, phones risen, not just to capture verbatim but to catch the weather in his voice. Then it happened. A name became gravity. Alina Bos. The syllables that fans have used as a compass for years moved from the edges to the center. The moment her name left his lips, everything else felt like scenery. He did not make a spectacle of it, he made it heavy. Questions hung, and he took them head-on. He did not dismiss recent history, not even a quiet relationship with someone outside the spotlight. He described it without sensationalism, something peaceful, mutually respectful, a harbor during a hectic season. But he refused to pretend it was a finale. In one stroke, he reshaped the narrative with a phrase no one expected: there was always, as he put it with unflinching honesty, the Alina Bos factor. He didn't say it lightly. He let it echo. A measure, a shadow, a permanent reference point. You could feel the collective inhale as people realized what he meant, not a passing memory, but a benchmark that refuses to be replaced. He pressed the thought further, voice running lower, a little rough like a page being turned too fast. He talked about what they had lived, not as gossip fodder but as something that imprinted. He admitted that in more than one moment, he's tried to put things back where they once fit. He said he was doing everything in his capacity to find the bridge back. Then stopped, mid-trajectory, leaving a pause in the air that felt like a door half open. The word that followed was the kind that floats but weighs a ton, but. The but hung there like fog, dense and revealing nothing while hinting at everything. No one filled the silence. No one dared. Secrets behind the stars community, what do you make of that? Is it devotion, or is it a wound? Is a love story still a love story if it crowds out the present? Tell us below, and if you appreciate getting the whole arc, drop a like so we can keep bringing nights like this to your screen. Online, the explosion was immediate. Half of the comments called it courage, finally a man refusing to dress emotion in camouflage, choosing truth even at personal cost. The other half called it unfair, transforming someone private into a yardstick they never asked to become, letting an old fire cast light where a new candle was trying to glow. The divide was stark. One camp sees a fighter for the one that got away. The other sees casualty in a narrative that won't stop replaying. Right between those camps stands the same name, luminous and impossible to ignore, Alina. And the night still wasn't done. He waded into jealousy, the word everyone avoids because it never fits neatly. He said it happens, that they had lived with its weight long enough to understand it. He didn't specify who, or when. Was he referring to the quiet and recent, or the blazing and unforgettable? Did he mean the frictions that fame stokes, the misunderstandings fame magnifies, the late-night calls you rewrite in your head? He left it blurred, the kind of ambiguity that keeps the conversation alive long after everyone goes home. One thing felt undeniable, Navruz has stopped playing the role built for him. The external reinvention, hair, jacket, that unmistakable don't flinch stance, was only the reflection of a decision already made deeper down. By naming the Alina Bos factor, he stamped legitimacy on what fan corners have whispered for ages. Sometimes a goodbye is not an ending, it's a lens. After that, everything is seen through it. His admission that recent calm could not smother the heat of what came before was the wake-up call no one saw coming. If you had filed the story under done and dusted, last night forced you to pull it back out and reread the margins. The night closed in the same register it began, with a car door and the shape of a man dissolving into the city's dark. Alp slipped away, leaving a forecast rather than a conclusion. Will the bridge he says he's building ever reach the other side? Does Alina want footsteps on that path, or has she drawn a line no public gesture can cross? Is the factor he named a promise or a boundary? We have no verdict, only the proof that the statue has a heartbeat and the myth bleeds when it tells the truth. He didn't walk away as the polished prince. He walked away as someone unavoidably human, messed up by memory, stubborn in hope, allergic to pretending. Maybe the industry will punish the breach in decorum. Maybe it will do what it always does, turn confession into a tagline. But for one night by the water, a headline became a person, a rumor turned into a sentence, and a sentence cracked open the vault. If you want to know before anyone else whether the reconciliation he hinted at becomes real, you already know what to do. Subscribe to Secrets Behind the Stars and tap join if you want to back the work that makes stories like this possible. Until next time, hold on to this thought as you watch the ripples settle. Sometimes the man called a rebel is just someone who refuses to keep lying to his own heart.